every time a police officer pulls you over, he's got a gun in his, on his holster. He's using some duress. There's a risk of you going to jail. There's a risk of him taking your driver's license, right? There is an extortion happening here. He's asking for your driver's license, and that's basically proof of your corporation. So you could say to the officer, excuse me, officer, are you attempting to traffic my person? The person is the all caps corporation. It's the name on the driver's license that's written in all caps. He is not accusing you of running that red light. He's accusing your corporation. So he's going to hand you a ticket, otherwise known as an affidavit of fiction, otherwise known as an indictment. All these words matter because it's a lawsuit. He's calling you to court. They love to keep us in argument, and they love to keep us in ignorance. And they love to just make fun of us every time we come in there. It's like getting on a pirate ship. They hand you a sword. They know the rules. You don't know the rules, and they're trading you under the table.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means. I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
Wine, please.
It's believed that as part of the ceremony, the Freemasons placed objects of great importance in a time capsule that was put inside a compartment located within the cornerstone. For centuries, historians have wondered what the Founding Fathers may have hidden in the White House cornerstone.
We know that the Freemasons put time capsules in other buildings and monuments. And since this was the cornerstone of the president's house, that they might have put something very important in there. One of the things that has been speculated is that they would have had some alternate versions of founding documents of America, like a version of the Constitution that also included in it the Masons' vision of how the nation was supposed to proceed. That also included in it the Masons' vision of how the nation was supposed to proceed.
An alternate version of the Constitution placed in the cornerstone of the White House. But what reason is there to think that this document existed?
Freemasons and other secret societies are seen as playing a key role in the design and administration of the United States Crown Corporation in the District of Columbia. They are allegedly responsible for creating the symbolic landscape of Washington, D.C., which is said to reflect their esoteric knowledge and spiritual beliefs based on Kabbalah principles. The Rothschild family, the Vatican, and the United Nations are also seen as playing a significant role, and the United States Crown Corporation under the administration of the City of London. They are allegedly the controllers of the United States Crown Corporation and the beneficiaries of the revenue generated by the capital name trusts. The governments of Australia, New Zealand and Canada are a for-profit, Cestui via trust theft. Private American companies, corporations registered with the United States Securities Exchange Commission and domicile in the Freemasonic District of Columbia, marking their citizens as citizens of the District of Columbia. All Americans were sovereign living men and women prior to 1868. The introduction of the Citizens Act altered the relationship between being a sovereign being to the now being a citizen. The introduction of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution in 1868 marked a significant turning point in the relationship between the American people and the government. The amendment created a new class of citizens, distinct from the sovereign living men and women who existed prior to its passage. The powerful elite, including organizations like the Freemasons, the Rothschilds family, and the Rockefeller family, played a subsequent role in the creation of the citizenship system. These groups, often referred to as the shadow elite, allegedly sought to consolidate power and control over the population by creating a fictitious entity, the citizen, which would be subject to the government's authority. The birth certificate, introduced in the 19th century, is seen as the key instrument in this process. By issuing the birth certificate, the government created a trust, often referred to as the capital name trust, which is tied to the individual's name in all capital letters. This is allegedly used to collateralize the national debt, create a system of chattel debt slavery, where citizens are forced to pay taxes and obey the government's rules, which only applies to persons. In exchange for the privilege of benefiting from the trust, however, that's not what happened. The government steals from the trust accounts and puts it under their administrative rule, without disclosing the capital name trusts to the citizens, which is a conspiracy of fraud, human trafficking and treason. The Freemasons, a supposedly fraternal organization with roots dating back to the 16th century, using Kabbalistic principles, Knights Templar, Rosicrucianist and Jesuit ties, announcing to the world a new esoteric age, are often implemented in this narrative due to their alleged influence on the drafting of the 14th Amendment. Some researchers point to the fact that many of the amendment's authors, including Senator Roscoe Conkling and Representative John Bingham, were Freemasons and part of the broader agenda to shape global governance, played a crucial role in crafting the amendment to create a more centralized and controlled system. Other organizations and individuals involved in this process include the Rothschild family, who are said to have financed the creation of the Federal Reserve, a foreign entity, system in 1913, further solidifying the government's control over the economy and population. The Rockefeller family, who are accused of using their influence to shape the development of the Social Security system, which created a permanent record of citizens and facilitated the tracking of all citizens' capital name trust activities. However, a living man or woman can declare their sovereignty through an affidavit, which is a formal statement asserting their status as living men and women, as a living, breathing being, separate from the fictitious entity created at birth by the government. By doing so, they regain control over their birthright and are no longer subject to the United States Crown Corporation authority, and can obtain access to their capital name trust. Some key points. 1868. The 14th Amendment is ratified, creating a new slave class called citizens and altering the relationship between the government and the population. The birth certificate, introduced in the 19th century, seen as the key to creating the capital name trust. Each citizen persons has at least 3 accounts, each one worth hundreds of millions and billions in assets. 1913. The Federal Reserve System is created, solidifying control over the economy. 1935. The Social Security Act is passed, creating a permanent record of citizens, i.e. enemies of the state, by facilitating the tracking of all citizens' capital name trust activities. 1945. The United Nations is established, marking a significant step towards global governance, and the consolidation of the power of the shadow elite. The notion of a capital name trust, or Cestui trust, suggests that when a birth certificate is issued, a trust account is created in the name of the individual, using their name in all capital letters. The government, by not disclosing the existence of these trust accounts to the individuals whose name, fictitious names associated with them, is engaging in malfeasance of office. This malfeasance allows the government to maintain control over the trust accounts and use them to finance their secret activities and agendas. The idea is that also, the government claims administrative control of the capital name trust when a person, the fictitious entity created at birth by governments via the birth certificate, dies. The government's claim to these accounts could be seen as a means of control the true nature of the national debt. The national debt is therefore a fraudulent construct, used to justify the government's control over the population and the theft of the capital name trusts. Regarding the Freemasons' involvement in stealing from these trust accounts, suggests that they, as part of their purported influence within the government, might be using the positions to access and manipulate the trust accounts, which could be achieved through various means, such as insider knowledge. Freemasons in government positions might have access to information about these trust accounts, allowing them to exploit this knowledge for personal gain. Influence over financial institutions. Freemasons might have connections with financial institutions, enabling them to manipulate the trust accounts and transfer assets to their own accounts or those of their associates, including the military-industrial complex and other black op agencies. Control over the legal system. Freemasons, as part of their influence over the legal system, might be able to use their positions to prevent individuals, who've claimed their living man-woman status, from accessing their trust accounts, or to manipulate the legal framework to maintain control over the trusts. Concealing the true nature of the national debt. The government's claim to the capital name trust assets could be seen as a means to conceal the true nature of the national debt, a fraudulent construct, by hiding the true source of funding. By claiming the deceased individual's person's capital name trusts, the government might be using these trusts to finance their secret activities and agendas, rather than relying on taxation or other traditional revenue streams, as it is illegal to finance the military-industrial complex using taxpayer monies, hence the aggressive nature of the police. By accepting you with a fictitious entity on your ID, such as the all-caps name on your driver's license, you create a joinder, a contract, and the police can now access your capital name trust, whether you've committed a crime or not. Checking for warrants is secondary, and these monies can be moved on to fund the tyrannical militarization of the police. When the police ask for your ID, they are committing a criminal conspiracy, fraud, human trafficking and treason. Some have already sold out to the United Nations. The blue flag patch is the indicator of their allegiance and commitment to the New World Order. Creating a false narrative. The government might be using the national debt as a narrative to justify their actions, such as increasing taxes, implementing austerity measures, or cutting public services. This narrative could be designed to distract from the fact that they are secretly claiming trillions of dollars in deceased capital name trusts daily. Maintaining control and power. By keeping the existence and value of the capital name trust secret, the government might be able to maintain control over the population and the economy. This could be achieved by using the threat of debt and financial instability to justify their policies, given to politicians to carry out the agendas of the shadow elite. Reasons for this mass manipulation. The government might employ this type of mass manipulation to deceive the masses for several reasons. Maintaining the status quo. By keeping the population in a state of financial uncertainty, the government might be able to maintain their existing power structure and prevent significant changes to the economic or social order. Protecting the interests of the power elite. The government might be acting to protect the interests of the wealthy and powerful, who might be benefiting from the secret claim to the capital name trust. Preventing the loss of control. If the people were to become aware of the true nature of the capital name trusts, they might demand greater transparency and accessibility to the capital name trusts, and finally hold the government accountable. This is their satanic system they have created, where the people have been unknowingly made into fictitious corporate entities. Dead vessel corporations. Lost at sea. Holy Roman See. National debt is a fraudulent construct used to deceive the masses, lest they might abandon ship. The Citizenship, created by the Freemasons based on Talmudic law.
And the occult aspect of it is that they own your mind, your body, and believe it or not, they believe, these guys are completely off their dials, your soul. This is why they have all the gold, because gold is an immortal metal. This is why they like the precious, they like all that gold. That's why they hold it all, and that's why they circulate money. They now own everything. They have you in bondage. It's a slave-based society, and it's a voluntary slave-based society. You've volunteered. You've entered into a contract. So when you go, for example, it even gets worse. You're part of a, believe it or not, a death cult. The three forms of law, the first is the Uniform Commercial Code. The second is canon law, the Holy See, and the highest form of law, believe it or not, in this country is Talmudic law. Babylonian Talmudic law.
Life is like a box of chocolates. Cheap, thoughtless, perfunctory gift that nobody ever asks for. Unreturnable because all you get back is another box of chocolates. So you're stuck with this undefinable whipped mint crap that you mindlessly wolf down when there's nothing else left to eat. Sure, once in a while there's a peanut butter cup or an English toffee, but they're gone too fast and taste is fleeting. So you end up with nothing but broken bits filled with hardened jelly and teeth-shattering nuts. If you're desperate enough to eat those, all you've got left is an empty box filled with useless brown paper wrappers.